We are golden. That's a miss.
Wheeze.
Oh, 0 for 2.
Oh,
0 for 3, man. What's going on?
What's going on? Dude? You're gonna make like 0 points tonight.
Okay, let's see it, Tucker.
All right.
Tucker, go for it.
Do it. Shot. Yeah, shoot. Shot it. Shot it. Do it.
Stay golden.
There he goes.
All right. The final life cycle. We already studied the life cycle of mosses, ferns, and conifers. Now we want to look at the life cycle of flowering plants. Are you recording?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm awful at this. It's recording.
It's section 23.3 on page 674. So open your books to that. 674, 23.3. Did y'all pull the blinds open?
Yeah, I got it.
Dude, Westo, bro. You like my pen?
Yes, I do.
That's a no.
They can call me a yes, I do.
Okay, flowering plant. Taylor, up here.
Sorry.
Video.
I'm terrible at this. I can't multitask.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this and take a look at how a flowering plant does its reproduction. Now, we're going to start with the sporophyte. The sporophyte is the young plant. It's the diploid plant. And of course, a young plant, and I'll show you some young plants we have growing for an AP Biology lab we're going to do. But the plant grows into its adult form, which is a flowering plant, and there's all types of flowering plants out there. An oak tree is a flowering plant. Those bushes you see out there are flowering plants. Grasses are flowering plants. But anyway, the adult flowering plant has a flower on it. And of course, the flower has the male parts, the stamens, and the female parts, the pistils. So in the stamens, in the anther, there are spores produced called microspores. And those spores will undergo meiosis. Do you see meiosis? The spores, I should say, are produced by meiosis. Meiosis produces the microspores, and those microspores form into what we call pollen grains, just like what happened in the pine life cycle. And inside each pollen grain are sperm cells. So the anther forms the pollen grains, and inside the pollen grain are sperm cells. The pistil, inside here, it shows the pistil up close. Again, the pistil consists of the stigma at the top, the style right here, and the ovary. And inside the ovary are ovules. And inside the ovules, meiosis occurs to form what we call megaspores. 4 of them are formed. But 3 of the megaspores die. They degenerate, which means they die. And so you're left with 1 megaspore.
Wait, then why do they make 4?
Just happens that way because meiosis is a process. I don't know how much you learned about meiosis. We did it in here first semester. Meiosis is a process where a single cell divides into 4 cells, each with half the number of chromosomes. So that's just the way it makes the spores. It undergoes meiosis. A single cell makes 4 cells, but it only needs 1, so just 3 of them just die. And a 4th one remains. And that 4th one divides into what we call the female gametophyte, which is this big sac inside the ovule. And it actually contains 8 cells. But we're really only interested in this one right here. That's the egg cell. That will become the new plant. And this central cell right here. And something happens when the pollen grain lands on the stigma. It grows this long tube that curls around and goes up here. And the sperm cells move through the tube. They move very slowly through the tube. They don't swim with flagella like other sperm cells do. They just kind of migrate with the tube as the tube is growing. And eventually they reach this gametophyte, the female gametophyte. It takes months, weeks or months for this to happen. So this pollen tube slowly grows, reaches the end here. These sperm come out. One sperm fertilizes the egg. The other sperm fertilizes the central cell. And we call that fertilization. It's actually a double fertilization, which I'm going to show you a video of in just a minute so you can get a better idea of it. But we call it double fertilization. Then the zygote develops into the embryo, that's the baby plant. And the central cell that was fertilized is going to develop into what we call endosperm. Endosperm is actually food for the embryo. And they say that it's 3N. Up here. They say that the endosperm is 3N. 3N means triploid. And the reason why it's triploid is it's because this central cell back here had 2 nuclei. And the sperm has 1 nucleus. So it gives the central cell 3 sets of chromosomes. 3 nuclei. 3N is what that means. And this endosperm is going to be food for the embryo. And what will happen is the outer part of this ovule will harden into a seed coat. And the seed coat will contain the embryo inside it, that's the baby plant. And the endosperm, that's the food source for the baby plant. And then the ovary on the outside is going to swell up and become what we call a fruit. Like an apple or an orange. And so the fruit is something that is good to eat often for an animal. And the fruit will fall off the tree and an animal will eat it. And the seeds get inside the organism. And then the whatever it eats the fruit, poops it out. And the seed can grow. Not all fruits are tasty fruits. Some fruits are real light and have like wings, and so the fruit floats when it falls, kind of like a pine seed does. And some fruits have little burrs on them, so when an animal comes running by, the fruit sticks to the coat of the animal, and then the animal will shed it later.
Fruits was exactly
Like they float.
Some fruits float. That's correct.
You just say, yeah, what fruits float?
What fruits float?
Apples, oranges.
I mean, what fruits are meant to disperse their seed by floating? That's what you're asking. There's cottonwood. Cottonwood seeds have a fruit around them that's real puffy and it floats on the water. I'm just trying to think of some. That's a good question. I don't know right off the top of my head, but there are some that do that. Yes?
Is there other essay?
I think the essay talks about the parts of a flower and the life cycle of a flowering plant. So yes.
So it's okay.
I'd like to throw this question about her.
So here's an up-close look at the seed. Here again, the seed consists of a seed coat on the outside that's very hard and tough. The embryo, that's the baby plant. And you see the word endosperm here. The endosperm is the food for the baby plant. Now here's another word you see called cotyledon. And it depends on the seed. There's eudicot seeds and monocot seeds. Those are the two big classes of flowering plants. In a monocot seed, the endosperm remains for the lifetime of the plant. What's going on here?
I dropped my Westo.
Can you get it for him?
Thank you. Just leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it.
Did you just break your phone?
No. Shh.
Yeah.
Okay, can we focus again?
Yeah, I want to break mine.
In a monocot seed, the food source, the endosperm, remains. And there's a little structure, the cotyledon, that hangs off the embryo, and the cotyledon is like a straw that sucks in the food source, the endosperm. In a monocot seed, like a corn kernel, the cotyledon is like a little straw that will suck endosperm into the embryo's body.
Question.
Okay, wait, before you ask your question here. In a eudicot seed, the cotyledon absorbs all of the endosperm and grows really big to fill the rest of the seed. And that's why they just show cotyledon here. The cotyledon has absorbed all the endosperm, and the cotyledon is the food source for the embryo. The embryo will eat the cotyledon slowly. And a seed can last for many, many years. The embryo living inside, just eating the food source. Some seeds have been known to last 5,000 years. And then if there's water and light, it'll grow into a new plant. Question?
When you eat popcorn, are you eating endosperm?
Yes, that's the food. Great question.
Thank you.
Yes, Graham?
What's the difference between those? Like, why would a plant do one or the other?
Well, it's just the way some plants evolve. There are two basic groups of flowering plants. The monocots and the eudicots. And it's just the way they evolve. It's just the way they are. Okay?
Does one last longer than the other?
I don't know which one tends to last longer. But lots of the foods you eat are seeds. If you eat rice, you're eating seeds. And the food that you're eating, the energy you're getting, is the endosperm of the rice. And, you know, there are lots of different types of seeds. You eat sunflower seeds. Some of y'all like to eat those.
I love sunflower seeds.
And here it shows the growing plant. When the seed lands, the monocot, that's the corn seed, and the eudicot, that's a bean seed right there. And I'll show you some bean plants I have growing here. But the first part that starts to grow is called the radicle. The radicle is the root of the new plant. I always remember radical root. They both start with R. The radicle is the first root of the plant that grows down. And the root always grows first, and then it will suck in water, and then the rest of the plant will start to grow up.
Hey, bro.
Yes?
Yeah, like plants have to get like sunlight and everything like for energy.
Yes.
Like when they're growing, they're not out of the ground yet. Is it just like stored energy?
They're using that stored endosperm to grow as big as they can, and then they use the sunlight. And the endosperm will only get them so big. And then if there's not sunlight, they die. So a lot of plants do that. If you walk out in the woods, you see all these little plants growing. Those are little baby plants that will probably all die if you're in a shady area. Yeah.
Does the more endosperm have like make the plant bigger, or does it just make it grow faster?
It probably makes it grow bigger, I would guess. Yeah.
It's a little hard.
Yeah. Probably could make it grow faster too. Okay, let's take a look at this double fertilization process that I was talking about earlier.
Concepts in motion and animation. Click here to proceed.
Right, yesterday on Jeopardy there was a question on rhizomes.
Really?
Yeah.
Aren't those like
My mom
things that
did
live
it
around the
sometime.
mushroom? Somewhere.
Okay, check it out. Double fertilization process. This is on top of page 676 on the top left.
It's like a four-leaf clover.
It's an anther.
In flowering plants, double fertilization involves the fusion of two sperm cell nuclei of the male gametophyte with two cell nuclei of the female gametophyte.
Watch
The
it.
tube cell of the pollen grain elongates to form a pollen tube. The tube nucleus leads the way through the tissue of the style toward the female gametophyte. The two sperm cells travel through the pollen tube and enter the ovule. One sperm fuses with the haploid egg cell to form the zygote. The other sperm unites with the diploid central cell to form a triploid cell that will develop into endosperm.
Okay, they went through that kind of fast. Just let me show you here. Here is the pistil, the female part. There's the stigma. There's the style. Here's the ovary. And here's the ovule. And that's the female gametophyte. And that's the embryo cell. And that's the central cell with the two nuclei. And as you can see, the pollen grain has landed here, and it's growing a tube. Like I said, the growth of this tube is going to take months.
Are the tubes really small?
Yeah, the tubes are microscopic. And they grow down, and they grow down, and this could take a long time, and eventually the tube penetrates the ovule, and one sperm cell fertilizes the egg cell. That's what's going on here. And the other sperm cell fertilizes the central cell. That's what's going on here. So that's going to form what we call a diploid zygote that has two sets of chromosomes. And this is going to form a triploid endosperm that has three sets of chromosomes, which is something we've never studied before. It's weird that it happens, but it happens in flowering plants. And so that's it. That's the double fertilization process that I talked about earlier. Yes, Hogan?
Does anybody ever, like, I don't even know if you can, but, like, record it or time-lapse the tube growing?
Well, it's all inside the flower, so you can't really see it. I've never seen anything like it except in cartoon form.
How long do you think it would take?
Whoa.
It depends on the plant, but for the tube to grow all the way down, sometimes it's months. Months. Weeks or months. Here we show a pea flower. If you ever eat peas, you're eating the seeds
So you're eating
of a flowering plant, and here's what the flower looks like. And after the pollen grains land on the stigma here and grow their pollen tubes, many pollen grains will land on the stigma, and each ovule, there's a number of ovules here, will be fertilized, and then will grow into a seed. And the area around this, that becomes the fruit. The fruit is the pea pod, and the seeds are the peas.
Never seen a pea flower.
There you
Are they
have.
really purple like that?
There was a couple of those.
You've seen a
Yeah,
pea
the
pod.
flowers are purple.
You have seen a pea pod before.
You've eaten the pea pod before.
You eat green beans, you eat the pea pod.
Seed videos.
I love videos.
Seed and fruit videos. Hogan, seed and fruit videos. This shows
There is much
some
less wind in the tropical rainforest. Even above the canopy, the humid air hangs as a mist, and below there is seldom even a breath in the air. If a plant is to exploit its height here, it has to give its seeds very good flying equipment indeed, and none does that better than this liana in Borneo.
The wing is the fruit.
Can I eat that?
Yeah, you can.
Butterfly.
Bruh.
Aircraft designers have tried to build a wing as efficient as this one, but failed. Even the faintest updraft produced by the slightest turn is enough to lift this little glider with its seed passenger and so extend its flight.
Oh, the land in the shade is going to die.
Plants preceded humanity in building fixed-wing gliders, and not only gliders. gliders, they created helicopters too. Sycamore seeds.
Does it make that sound or is that
Quiet, please.
The balance between the weight of the seed and the length and width of the wing is exact and perfect. A slightly heavier seed or a shorter and narrower wing, and the whole thing would fall like a stone. The TriStar plant produces a revolving seed with 6 blades, and aircraft designers have yet to copy that. Or this. Plants also use explosives. Jet propulsion. This is a squirting cucumber. And this, Himalayan balsam. Its seed capsules are pumped full of liquid to such a pressure that the slightest touch makes them explode.
I want to see that happen in real life.
The force is so great that seeds can be shot away for as much as 15 feet.
Cool water.
Hey, were those seed spot actually make that noise, or?
I think that noise has been added.
Bro, the ones that like pop whenever they got touched, the whole 15 feet thing.
Yeah.
I swear to
Don't
God,
we have
but-
something like that around here?
After this class,
I've never seen one.
we're gonna have a roller.
Flowers also use the wind to
Quiet,
transport
please.
their seeds, and few do it more successfully than dandelions. As their petals fall, their flower heads, over a period of 1 or 2 weeks, are transformed into wonderfully intricate globes, each a precise array of 100 or so seeds, all awaiting the wind. Their seeds are much heftier than the spores of fungi. For them to fly, special apparatus is needed. Each is fitted with its own individual parachute. The device is so efficient that a breeze will carry the seeds high into the sky. In such a dense crowd of adult plants as this, there's no room for the next generation. The seeds must get away, and the wind will take them for miles. When dispatching their seeds by air, their height. The farther a seed has to fall, the longer it takes to reach the ground and the further it can travel. And these cottonwood trees need do no more than provide their seeds with straightforward fluff. But This, because of their height, is enough to carry them for miles. Every summer, the waters of the Great Lakes of North America become thickly flecked with seeds from the cottonwoods growing around their margins. A few will wash up on a distant shore and germinate. Most will be lost. But the cottonwoods produce seeds in such numbers that the loss is of no consequence whatever.
Bro,
Seeds, amazing thing.
bro, the first video we watched where the fruit fell.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that happen in real life? Like, have you ever seen like the fruit thing fall?
What kind of fruit was it?
I don't remember. It was like a white one.
Flying one?
Yeah, like fell from the.
I've seen like apples fall.
Oh, you mean like the one that looked like a plane?
The thick
Oh, like a little
string white
feather. It looked like a-
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever
The
seen that
bat-
Oh,
happen?
no, I haven't seen that. See if you can guess what fruit this is.
Raspberries.
Can't help it.
Strawberry.
I'm gonna go with grape.
strawberries.
Watermelon.
I know.
Orange.
It just has to ripen.
It's orange.
I had some strawberries yesterday.
It's orange.
Ah. And when it ripens, that means the seeds are ready to be eaten. When it's green, the seeds aren't ready yet. So it doesn't
So-
ripen until the seeds are ready.
So if I ate
Yes, sure, you can go do that.
and
Including us. And what's more, they force us to fit in with their timetable. This blackberry, for example, is not yet ready for my services, so its fruits are still sour. But as the seeds complete their development, the flesh around them sweetens and announces the fact by changing colour.
I like the sound.
The blackberry seeds will be more widely distributed if the plant is visited by a succession of different messengers than if it's stripped on a single visit by just one. So its berries do not all ripen simultaneously. Birds find them irresistible and quickly spot them, for black is a very conspicuous colour. And so too is red. Birds see colour in very much the same way as we do. What is vivid to them is vivid to us. So robins and ewes, strawberries and plums, cherries and hawthorns use red or black to summon birds to collect their fruit. Tropical fruits produce much smaller fruit than their European relative, and unusually, as they ripen, they turn yellow. Even so, their message is widely understood. A tropical fig tree in fruit is a huge bonanza in the forest. All kinds of diners come to the tree.
I saw ants the other day.
As well as fruit-eating birds, they attract all kinds of mammals, monkeys, squirrels, and gibbons. The rhinoceros hornbill, in order to eat such small fruit with such a huge beak, has to be a bit of a juggler.
Good God.
And now comes the important part, as far as the fig is concerned. Dozens of fruits containing hundreds of seeds are ferried away in the hornbill's crop for many miles. The flesh of the fruit will be digested, and then the indigestible bits, which includes the seeds, will be voided in a distant place in the forest.
Voided.
Oops.
Oops. Okay, I want to show you some growing plants. All right.
Go ahead, turn this off.
Yeah, you
Take off the laptop.